Now today is a different type of video as we go over Masquerade from Bakugan Battle Brawlers and the symbolism of the mask that he wears. Now Masquerade is initially an antagonist in Bakugan but eventually comes over to help out the Battle Brawlers. Masquerade is one of my favorite characters ever, as you can tell from my profile picture, and I'll be analyzing his character. Now Masquerade is first seen on a playground mysteriously showing up to battle Runo. He doesn't say much and keeps his conversation short in all his interactions. Most of his actions were kept a secret and many did not know what he was up to. He then becomes the #1 brawler in the world and starts to gain some recognition from brawlers everywhere. He then gets offered a battle from Dan Kuso and accepts his invitation. We see him in a dark basement with a computer screen. His entrance to meeting Dan shows him coming through a dark door, and I like the look they ended up giving him with purple pants and a white jacket. Masquerade was always a flashy figure but would show up in hidden alleys and kept himself very discreet throughout the show. He would not talk much and often express himself the most in a battle. Masquerade brought a very serious intensity to the show and showcased the reality of how serious Bakugan can become. Before then, everyone had treated Bakugan as a game, and Masquerade showed a more serious side of the game and did not take it lightly. This is a big concept as he introduced a Doom card that allowed him to send losing Bakugan to the Doom dimension and to never return. Masquerade came appearing into the Bakugan world and instantly becoming one of the top brawlers in the world. He was the darkest brawler, and it made sense as he was very twisted and a dark person. Masquerade was a brawler who saw strength and power through victory. He goes on to defeat the other top brawlers around the world like Chan Li and Klaus, and ends up making an alliance with all of them to bring down the battle brawlers. He even goes out of his way to try to bring Shun to his side, but to no avail, was not able to convince him to join him. Masquerade's thirst for power goes extreme at times, and we can see this when he even sacrifices his own Bakugan Reaper for Hydronoid. His Bakugan Hydronoid gains power through defeating other Bakugan and sending them to the Doom dimension, and he would eventually become Alpha Hydronoid. Masquerade plays by his own rules. He does not care about weaklings and only fights to serve his own purpose. His whole identity is filled with mysterious vocals and enigmatic comments to show us how different he is from others. He often leaves on his own and just seems to disappear at the right moments with no signs of anyone seeing him. Now, not only was Masquerade good at playing onto his strengths and abilities, but he was also very good at capturing into people's emotions and weaknesses. He knew exactly what words could get to his enemies and how to fully pressure them into losing. He was an exceptional brawler, but also had exceptional human psychological skills. This is shown when he fights against Klaus and causes Klaus to get too emotional to losing his Bakugan, which ultimately proved fatal as Masquerade still won in the end. Masquerade is able to send his opponents into an emotional roller coaster and even showcase fear and absolute victory from his battles. His mindset is of someone who has no time to play games, and he was always serious in his battles. His identity was filled with power, and that was the only way for him to feel like a worthy existence. Deep down, I feel like Masquerade was trying to fill in a hole for his identity with power because that is all that he knew. The biggest test for Masquerade was when he goes off against Alice and Exedra. Now Exedra tells Masquerade that Alice is the hurdle that Masquerade must overcome, and Masquerade brushes it off, but Exedra asks him if he knows himself that well. Masquerade is trying to find that inner source from within himself and figure out why he battles. We then get this legendary quote from him where he says, "You ask me why I battle Alice, I'll tell you. It's because I'm a winner and I need to win to survive. And what I hate most are losers. You see, I'm on a quest to become the best Bakugan gamer there is, and trust me, I won't let anything stand in my way. It is the will of Naga and it will be done." I like how Masquerade says here that he needs to win to survive, indicating that for him, winning is the same as living and losing is the same as dying. He has a winner's mentality that winners get everything while losers do not, and he treats it like life or death. His life is a life that is not his, and he shares a body with someone else, and he does not fully understand it here. For him, becoming invested in the world is an obstacle and a path to prove his existence in the world before he gets carted away as an outcast. The best of both worlds would then collide once again as Masquerade would take on Dan in one of his last battles. This battle was intense and one of my favorite battles to date, as we have Darkest Alpha Hydronoid versus Pyrus Ultimate Dragonoid. For the first time, we see Masquerade is getting very emotional in his battling and is thrown off immensely as Dan is someone who just continues to get in his way. Dan the whole time is just trying to show Masquerade how fun brawling can be, and to just remember sometimes that it's just a game, but Masquerade sees it as his life. He cannot accept the fact of just having fun and sitting by watching a game. Masquerade would eventually lose the match, and he is not bothered by the fact that he lost. He learns that it's not always about how you win or lose, but it's how you play the game. Dan then asks Masquerade for help, but he declines and says that he does not think it would work out. This became a huge plot twist in the story that we find out that Masquerade is actually Alice. The negative energy of the Mega-Dimensional Nova infiltrated Alice's granddad's laboratory, causing him to become Hao-Ji and Alice to become Masquerade. Masquerade was a second identity to her and was all of the negative emotions and feelings that Alice had inside of her. Alice was really a character with a split personality. She was kind, gentle, and loving, whereas Masquerade was cold, dark, and ruthless. All of the pent-up anger and negative emotions that Alice had inside of her was expressed through Masquerade. He was the opposite being of her that was shut out. This is why Masquerade struggles for survival. It's so big because winning is what gives him his will to live. He does not have kindness and a gentle nature like Alice. This is why Alice is the biggest obstacle for Masquerade, because he truly struggles with empathy towards others and being kind. All he knows is violence and negativity, and Alice was the other side of him that he needed. He could not understand himself fully. Now people think that Masquerade had all of the power and skills, but in reality all of those skills were from Alice. Alice had the skill set and mentality of a brawler, but Masquerade was able to fully embody her skills and use it to its full extent. Alice truly was the best brawler in the group and was the smartest out of all of them. That is why she was a strategist for the team, but did not battle much. Masquerade took in all of that knowledge wholeheartedly and became the most elite version of Alice's skills. Alice truly was one of the best written characters in Bakugan, and I wish we got to see her more. We never got to see her true ability of Alice that much except through Masquerade, and Masquerade still gives Alice her props and understands her potential. Now we have when Masquerade goes into Destroyer to help out Dan. He teams up for just one time to help out Dan, and this is the best tag team we have seen in Bakugan. Masquerade is able to completely outsmart the two Bakugans, Centaurier and Drewman, and we really see Masquerade's strategical mind in play as he's able to help Dan to win the battle. Masquerade shakes Dan's hand, and this is the last battle we ever see from Masquerade. He has a very good send-off as he's able to be a part of the Battle Brawlers just once and actually be a good guy. He tells Alice that he is her and she has no need to worry. His destiny was to help the Will of Naga and spread fear and chaos. Now that he no longer serves that purpose, his journey ends here as Alice should have started her own journey with the Battle Brawlers. I think Masquerade had some of the coolest introductions to a series, and his moments truly captivated new experiences and a spirit of passion that you didn't see that often in the later seasons. It truly does suck that we never got to see Masquerade again after this. Now Alice does once think about bringing him back in season 2, but realizes that she is him and has the capabilities of him as well, so she does not need to rely on him to win. His appearance in New Destroyer would have sparked a new set of excitement, and it is what it is, but it really goes to show how different the show went after his departure. We eventually get introduced to a new masked man named Spectra who ends up running the show for the whole season 2, and Masquerade is never really talked about or seen from again. I hope watching this video brings back the nostalgic feeling of Bakugan and allows you to recapture the intense emotions you first felt when watching this show. Masquerade is one of my favorite characters ever if you could not tell, and I've learned a lot from him myself. First is his mannerisms. He doesn't talk often and showcases a slow yet subtle tone of voice, making his words mean more. He comes in at just the right moments to give his speech, and then he leaves at the perfect time to get the last word. He rarely ever explains himself, and his way of living is a byproduct of his power. He truly was a masquerade. Now the definition of masquerade is a false show or pretense, and Masquerade was fully that, as his whole identity was a false show of who he actually is, and that is Alice. When he is unmasked, a lot of questions were asked, and he really set the tone as a character for bringing in excitement and causing viewers to love his character. I also love Masquerade's character design, as his mask is iconic, and I hope to own a pair one day. He also has a sleek white jacket that resembles Kaiba and then has Super Saiyan yellow hair. He truly was an iconic character for me, and I hope you all feel the same. I hope we all can talk more about it, as I have the Masquerade Discord now open and the link will be in the bio. I thank you guys for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back in the next one. Peace.